It's Wednesday. It's 2:00. And you are here with Wendy Stuart
and Tim Moss.
And you are watching If These Walls Could Talk.
Yay!
How are you doing today, Tim?
I'm really good. Oh my goodness, have I had the past 48 hours? Seriously.
Same past 48 hours from oh my God, I did a huge interview with somebody that is developing Milford where I am on the weekends, and a real key player in the Black Bear Film Festival there, which I am a part of. I've screened my films there, and it was wonderful. I did a live interview, ladies and gentlemen. I had a human being sitting next to me. Do you have any idea how much that means to me? And then, of course, I performed with the Imperial Court for the Tyler Clemente Foundation, and it really dear to my heart. And I had the best time doing it. And then I went on the CT right after that. And I got to tell you, I never sleep in. Well, you know what? I had to sleep in Monday. I know Tim knows this. You feel like you got hit by a Mack truck. It's unbelievable.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I had, firstly, I got catfished by a guy that I've been talking to. Which catfish is like somebody who
I've heard it. Yeah,
where somebody online, they build a fake online presence with pictures and all of that. And so I called the guy on it, and he finally admitted to me that he was a catfisher, which never happens. They never admit this.
I wish you had got him
to him to admit it twice, and we're still chatting and talking.
Wow!
So I got that.
So you made
it
real. Wow.
Then I had somebody. Well, I wanted him to see that these people, they play with your emotions and they hurt people, and they're just trying to get your money.
Right.
And I just wanted him to see that these are human beings that you're doing this to.
Is he cute?
Yeah, he really is.
He's
actually from Nigeria.
I know. Okay, excuse me. Before Tim Moss even said that, I knew he was from Nigeria. Yeah, I live there, and we know most of the catfishing comes from there. Here's what you were defining what catfishing is. I didn't know what the name was. I get pictures of these doctors, but it's the same doctors. They're incredibly good looking.
Yeah, exactly.
And they show themselves with pictures being outdoors.
Right.
But you can't get anything out of the profile at all. But now, the same 4 doctors have been coming up. So I know it's somebody in Nigeria.
So I get catfished. Then I had to, with what I thought was a betrayal, I've hopefully got everything back on track. And then this morning I got a phone call, and I guess I'm a film producer now. So I'm going to be co-producing a film coming up this month.
That's really exciting.
Yeah. So I've just went all over the place in the past 48 hours in so many different directions.
So we want to hear more about that as things progress.
As it unfolds. But today, enough about me, because our guest is so ridiculously incredible today.
Talk about things unfolding. Yeah. Everybody knows about the Warhol legacy. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows about Jackie Curtis, Hollywood Lawn, Candy Darling, right? Those names were like household names to me. Ooh, I am dating myself. But we are so excited today. We have the one and only first cousin. Let's keep it in the family. Joey Preston, who's coming out with a brand new memoir called Jackie Curtis, Undressed, 19 cans of tuna. And I'm going to have questions about this one. So come on, Joe. Have a seat.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi.
Careful with hitting the table.
Okay. Yeah, we don't want our guests being injured on our show. I'm very excited. Oh my God. Erica, we are all here together. This is a real treat. Joey is local. Can't get any more local, within a few blocks. We're here at PANGEA Restaurant where we live stream from. But the cool thing is, part of Joe's history has to do, and his family has to do, with PANGEA Restaurant. So my God, these 6 degrees of separation.
That's absolutely true. Even less than 6 degrees.
Even less,
actually.
right?
Yeah,
like 2 degrees. Well, welcome. Thank you for doing this.
And actually, I think I met you here at PANGEA.
Yes.
That's where we met.
That's absolutely right.
Look, we're so starved for live people. We're touching you as you sit there. We're fondling the guests today. Really so great.
Well, I'm a fondler anyway.
Fondler. No doubt.
Well, I want to thank the both of you for inviting me today and being on the show. This is just a wonderful show, folks. Tune in 2 o'clock every Wednesday to watch it. If you miss it, you can also go to Wendy Stuart TV. and
On YouTube,
and
yeah.
review it.
Yeah, and you can, yeah.
Afterwards, because it's going to be posted.
Where it's embalmed,
So,
just like
It's
me.
embalmed. Right.
So this is exciting having you because I got to work with you on one of the Warhol
Right.
pieces with Jackie Curtis,
Right.
Glamour, Glory, and Gold. That's kind of like when we first connected.
Yes.
And it was really such a unique experience. I mean, the language, first of all, of the times,
Right.
the crazy stuff that went on in this play. And
Right.
it was an opportunity that I never forgot. Fast forward to now, I speak to you and I find out that, oh yeah, don't bang the table, Wendy. In fact, Chauncey will kill me. Fast forward to now, and you started working on a memoir, which I had no idea about, but it's totally fitting. So let's talk about how this all came to be.
There's really nothing like a global pandemic.
Yeah.
The murder of George Floyd and the social unrest that followed, and a contentious president and a contentious presidential election.
Absolutely, on all
to
counts.
just make you freeze. I mean, you are just stoic with all of these events going on, and they're swirling around you, and you don't know if you're going to get sick. You don't know if you're going to wind up in the hospital.
Yep.
And I said to myself, it is very scary. And I said, I was taking constant walks outside, and I walked up 2nd Avenue just to get the family vibes again. And I got to 17th Street, and I was beside a white tractor trailer that was next to the hospital. And I froze.
Oh my God.
And I froze, and I said, I'm going right back home. But Joey, what are you going to do about this? And I got home, sat on the couch, and almost immediately, like within a millisecond, I bounced back up and I said, you know what? Everybody wrote about Curtis. We called him Curtis in the family because we had an uncle Jackie, quite frankly. I said, I'm going to write about Curtis and our family experiences and how I worked with him for 8 years, because everybody else has.
Right.
You can pick up a Warhol book.
Absolutely.
And there are excerpts of Curtis in every one of those books. Even to this day, there are wonderful books out there that are written by Kembrew McLeod and friends that he knew.
But the thing about having you here, you're the only one. And when I was advertising the show, I said, today we're keeping it in the family.
Right.
First of all, what a unique position. Second of all, I know your deep love and how Curtis affected you. But third of all, you just brought out something that the pandemic was the motivation behind it. Wow.
Yes, because you when you're in such a dark situation, and you have to make good out of it. You have to make light out of it. Just to give you a little backstory of how the family lived in this particular intersection at 12th Street and 2nd Avenue.
I can't believe it. And here we are.
We're at 12th.
Yeah,
so
we're at 12th
this is it's a little weird that this happened this way, but go on.
Well, our grandmother started a business. She started a luncheonette counter just west of 2nd Avenue on 12th Street. And she had that for a while, but her cousin owned the bar over here on the corner of 12th Street and 2nd Avenue.
Incredible. So it was family.
It was
all the businesses, the neighborhood.
Yes.
All of the family here.
And she was, her moniker was Slugger Ann.
That was her nickname.
That was her nickname.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the 1950s, her and her 2 daughters, which is one my mother and one was Curtis's mother,
the 2 sisters.
Yes.
2 sisters worked there.
They worked in the dance halls in the 1950s.
The dance halls?
Oh my God.
They were taxi dancers. And if you don't know what a taxi
I
dancer
was going to
is,
ask you.
it's like watching Sweet Charity with Gwen Verdon in it, where all the girls lined up and men bought tickets to dance.
Oh, that's 10 cents a dance. Right, that's what they paid me. Gosh, how you weigh me down. I know what it's
exactly.
I think I was one in my past life.
Exactly. And the men came in and said, I want to dance with that one, and that one.
That's
and
incredible.
they paid with their tickets. But to get more money out them, they socialized with them and they bought drinks and all of
Yeah,
this
of
kind of
course.
thing. So
It's kind of like what a geisha is, really. It's
yeah,
not.
yeah, right.
It really isn't
Right.
any different. I mean,
Right.
there's no sex
Exactly.
happening.
Right.
It's just,
Exactly.
it's actually a very good idea.
Yeah, I agree.
It's very
you know,
smart.
It's smart. You know,
It's
you
very
have someone you
smart.
can hang out with for the evening, make
Yeah.
a little small talk with, not have to put any nookie out, and
Yeah.
it's good for everyone.
Yes. So,
Taxi
our
cabs.
grandmother was getting on. She was about 50 at the time. And her cousin
50 was getting it on at the time.
Well,
was getting on at the time.
you know what? Those generations,
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
say
I
50.
know what you mean, but
It
I
was
am
like-
so past 50.
you know, she was tired. Let's put it
Yeah,
that way.
Yeah,
exactly.
she was done.
She worked.
You
She
know,
worked her
When
life,
you
yeah.
danced for 8 hours in heels like this
Yeah.
with platforms,
Yeah.
and like Carmen Miranda shoes in
Yeah,
1950,
Right,
you wanted something a little different, let's say.
right.
Mhm.
Her cousin owned the bar and offered it to her for sale.
Okay.
Hmm.
And she brought my
So
mother.
another cousin.
This was my grandmother's cousin. Our
Oh, okay.
grandmother's cousin.
Tim, they had,
Again,
they had
all
taken over
the
the
whole
neighborhood.
neighborhood. I
It was
love
that.
a real New
Love
York
that.
story, Joe.
Yeah, actually, yes.
Real New York story.
And so my mother was with her, and they're standing in front of the bar. And my grandmother asked my mother, she said, "Do you think I should buy it?" Right.
Hmm.
My mother said, "Of course, buy it. What
Right.
are you even thinking about?"
Right.
Mhm.
So she bought it in 1956, and then had a wonderful run, until 1970, until they renovated the building.
Mhm.
But starting in about the late 60s and 70s, this neighborhood was awful.
It was
Yeah,
terrible.
right.
It was-
Everyone
But
I
so
grew up
what
around.
was this? What did she buy? The dance hall or the
The
bar?
bar. She
The
bought the bar.
Okay.
She bought the bar,
Yeah.
and it was also a bar and grill. So she was doing the cooking as
She did
well as she
everything.
did
Wow.
everything.
Wow.
But
Yes.
how did she get the name Slugger Ann? Was she punching people out? Was she like a
Yes.
bouncer too?
So
Yes,
She's
absolutely.
She was
the cook.
fierce.
Yes.
She's the cook.
Right.
She's the waitress. She's
Right.
the bouncer.
Oh.
Tim, what do they call it? Chief cook, bottle
bottle
washer,
washer.
and bouncer.
Yeah. In the dance hall, when the men are drinking and they're dancing with the girls, they don't always put their hands in the right place.
Mhm, right.
So
Those men.
and my grandmother was a one-person Me Too movement
You're
back
right.
then.
I love
And,
it.
and she was backed up by management. So it was
Uh-huh.
easy for her to do this.
Watch your
Yeah.
hands.
And she
So she-
belted
Good for her.
every one of them
Slugger
right
Ann.
I
in the
love
jaw.
Slugger Ann.
I do
She
too.
was 5'4",
Oh.
and she had fists like cured hams. And she was Sicilian. I mean, what
Right.
else
Yeah.
does Sicilian women have?
Right.
And she used to belt them, and
Love
they
it.
used to
Oh
go
my-
flying.
Oh my goodness.
And she also beat up some of the women that she worked with also. So
Slugger Ann,
So-
look out.
I mean, she had a bit of a rough life before this.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Because she had to go to work when our original grandfather had died on the job.
Well, wasn't
Wow.
if I do the timeline in my head, she was a Depression
Well,
era kid,
she-
wasn't she?
she was born in 1906.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she married at the age of 13.
Wow.
And
In
had-
Sicily. Uh-huh.
No, here.
Here.
Wow.
Here.
Yes, they did that.
Wow.
Yeah, I know it's hard to
they
believe.
got whatever.
No wonder she was exhausted
Whatever.
by 50.
She was done. And no wonder she was punching
So-
the hell out of
Yeah,
everybody.
right.
Yes.
She had a
Exactly.
short fuse, Slugger
Exactly.
But I
Ann.
love Slugger Ann.
I do
Well,
too.
when I was a kid, and I went to PS 19 around the corner.
It's right
Oh,
around the
my
corner
goodness.
here.
Uh-huh.
Right. And I used to go there while my mother was still working, and my grandmother would babysit me, because there was nobody in the apartment.
Mhm.
So it would just be, me in the apartment alone, which wasn't good. So, there were countless times where I would sit there as a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old, and there would be customers that would get
In
out
the
of
bar.
hand. who
In the
would-
bar.
in
You
the
would
bar.
be sitting at 7 years old.
I would be sitting here, and the bar was right over there,
Right.
like it is in the air.
doing
and
your homework.
doing my
Yeah.
homework.
In the bar, because kids
I
did
love
that.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And even though it was early, like late afternoon, these the patrons would get out of hand and get drunk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she used to have to say, "Hey, dry up.
Yeah.
Go home and
Mhm.
dry
Or
up.
get out.
Yeah, get out."
Yeah.
And they
Yeah,
didn't
you're cut
listen.
off.
Well, that was a mistake.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, because she had patience to, I don't know,
Point,
for about,
right,
yeah.
for
for
about
2
3
minutes.
seconds, she had
Yeah.
patience. You know,
Yeah.
if you didn't listen to her, you know, she comes out from behind the bar.
Oh,
And
that would not be good.
No, not good. And
5'4" and like a tank.
yes, and right. And she grabs the customer by the back of the shirt or the
The
jacket or
scruff,
whatever they
like the
had.
scruff of the neck.
The chair went flying on the
So did
floor.
they.
She would drag them right out and throw them right out
Oh
onto
my
Second
God.
Avenue, right through
I
the
love
doors. Come with me, you rat bastard.
Yeah.
And just grip it because she was furious. You know, you went from this to this like
Yeah.
within milliseconds.
Was she first generation in her family?
She was first generation American
here, yeah.
because
I
she-
figured
there
when
were-
thinking about it.
yes, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked that.
Yeah.
But you know, she built up this business,
Mhm.
and she was the matriarch
Right.
of the family,
Oh,
and
oh,
everything
yeah.
revolved around
Mhm.
her. Now they lived at 220 East 12th Street for a
Wow.
while.
Wow, that's right up the
Where-
block.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
right around the corner where Curtis shared a bed with my brother,
Mhm.
and she lived there with her second husband.
Oh.
And
That was your aunt or your grandmother?
no, my grandmother.
So
Slugger
your
Ann.
grandmother. Okay.
My grandmother's Slugger Ann. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay. So I just to clarify,
Clarify,
because there's a
yeah.
lot of
Stayed
family
with your
members here.
yes,
grandmother.
You were staying with the grandmother.
I wasn't.
You
No.
weren't at that point, but Curtis was.
Curtis
How
was.
old? Now,
No,
how old was
why-
Curtis?
yeah.
Curtis is 12 years older than I am.
Okay, so if you were
Yeah.
8, you were around
He'd
8
be
when
about
we're
20.
talking about.
Yes,
this,
he
Curtis
would be
was-
around 20. You know, 20 years old.
So
He
did
would be.
Curtis get kicked out of?
Yeah, that's
Curtis-
that's why.
that's-
Yeah,
that's
how
a
did
good
Curtis
question.
end up there?
You know, when Curtis first met Candy and Holly.
Okay, that's Candy Darling and
Candy
Holly
Darling and
Woodlawn,
Holly
yeah.
Woodlawn in the West Village. They introduced Curtis to Warhol, and Curtis
And
said,
how old was Curtis at that
Yeah.
time?
about 20.
Yeah,
I'd say about
Okay.
anywhere between 19 and 20 years old.
Okay.
Because
I want the timeline because I remember
yes,
all. I mean, I
Yes.
was a little kid,
But
but I
that's so
remember all. It
fascinating.
is
Right.
so
That
fascinating.
she met Holly and
Yeah.
Candy,
Yeah.
Right.
and then they introduced her to
Yes.
to
to Warhol.
to Warhol.
Because they saw him walking down the street and they said, "Oh, let's go talk to Warhol."
Right.
And Curtis was promoting his show,
Mhm.
Glamour, Glory, and Gold: The Life and Legend of Nola Noonan, Goddess and Star.
Right.
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 So, by the way, which is Robert De Niro's first acting job,
Wow.
Was in that.
was
Uh-huh.
in that. He played 10 roles,
Jeez.
and
He's amazing.
Yes,
Right. I'm not
yes.
surprised. So what
Um,
year was that? Would have been the
that was
early
60
70s.
well, that
late
was
60s.
67.
Okay, late
67.
60s.
67.
Yeah.
It was done at Bastiano's Theater in the Village.
Wow.
So Jackie was working on that show
Yes,
when she met Warhol. And,
that's right.
Uh-huh.
Because
So
he
Jackie had already started establishing herself at that time.
well, because Jackie didn't have a family, a cohesive family unit at that point.
right.
His mother was starting a new relationship. He
right,
didn't live with his mother, which
Right.
was my aunt.
Right.
Now, so he moved in with Slugger Ann.
With Slugger Ann.
Now, how
What-
many years?
What
how
a
many
great
years-
influence
but I'm-
for a kid.
But so how many years? Like
Yeah.
at what age did he move in there, and how
That-
long was
That's
he
probably
there?
like 18.
Probably the
or-
late 60s. So he was a brat
So
in his
probably
late
about-
teens.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm getting the
you know,
timeline for this.
Wow.
Now, as far as you know, when did he come out?
You know, that's
From your
that's
recollection.
anybody's guess.
Right.
He could have been. Well, I'll tell
When
you.
was the first time you saw her?
Right.
Well-
Because in those days, honest to God, other than the Warhol people, it was not a huge it wasn't huge drag. It wasn't
Right.
huge
Right.
and
Oh,
trans
Right.
trans had
That
a million
was
definitions
totally
and
outside society.
cross-dressing was rolled into that.
Right.
These people, the Warhol superstars, were way ahead of
Right.
their time. Or as my mother in
Yes,
the Bronx used to say,
exactly.
they're a
Yeah.
bunch of freaks.
Yeah,
That's how,
yes,
You
exactly.
know, who are these
Uh-huh.
people?
Who are? Oh
Who-
my God! How prophetic! Because that's what I said the first time I saw
I
Curtis. in
just pulled
drag.
that from your
Wow.
head. 'cause I'm
I really
connecting
did.
with you right now.
But that's another
Right.
that's
Yeah.
another story
Okay,
I'll get
so-
to. So Curtis said to Warhol, "Here's a postcard flyer for my show. You have to come see my show."
Flyer back when.
And they did.
Flyers.
Warhol came to see his show.
Wow.
And to make a long story short, with Warhol, he eventually became one of the factory denizens, who would hang out in the factory.
So
and
with
go to Max's.
with Edie Sedgwick and
all of them,
Ultraviolet.
So basically, Warhol
correct.
opened the door for Curtis to
Wow.
come into his inner circle.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
by seeing that play, Glamour,
Yeah.
Glory, and
Gold.
Gold.
Wow.
Right. Exactly.
That is just, I didn't know any of this. I did the play, the reading with you at
Yes.
the Gene Frankel Theater, but honestly,
Yeah.
I did, and you told us a lot, but I didn't realize that play was the connection.
Yes.
How incredible.
Now, Curtis, as the writer and the director, did not. He sort of co-directed, but did not play the lead role in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Not in the beginning.
Not in the beginning. He didn't play the lead role until 1974, when he was encouraged by Margot Howard, which was this wild Jewish drag queen from Queens.
Okay, I love this. Let's say it again. Margot Howard.
Yes, Margot Howard. You had to know to really appreciate an experience. She was just a wild drag queen, very, very intelligent, but on drugs all the time and cursed like a drunken sailor. But that was the only person in life, beside my mother, actually, that Curtis actually listened to, because Margot Howard was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that you are evoking this person's name here today, because if we don't tell these stories,
right,
we all know so much about drag and the history of drag. I don't know who this person is.
Yes.
This person was so influential that this drag queen inspired Jackie Curtis to take the lead in Glamour, Glory, and Gold. That's huge.
Yes. And those clips, by the way, you can see clips of Glamour, Glory, and Gold on YouTube.
Yep.
By the way, but it's also on DVD.
Ooh, Joey's bag of tricks. Hold this up to the camera.
Which also can be purchased on JackieCurtis.com.
And I want to show everybody the back too.
That's Craig
so
Heiberger, who is a very, very good early friend of Curtis's.
Mm-hmm.
They met at an NYU meeting about gay issues, and he was a film student, and he started filming Curtis early on.
What year was
that? That was in the early 70s.
Yeah.
So they were also very socially conscious and activists.
Tim.
Yes. Yes.
So they had their finger on the pulse of the neighborhood and the changes.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
Wow.
Absolutely.
And maybe that was the start. I keep asking about the dates and stuff, because I'm thinking in my head, maybe that was the start of the whole movement.
Oh, yeah.
If we go back to Stonewall,
69.
Right. Look at the time. Thank you.
Curtis was not political because he was theatrical. And that's where
my God, I'm getting a T-shirt that says that. I can't be political because I'm theatrical.
And he was criticized for it because Curtis could have presented a great political point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But Curtis's answer to Stonewall was a month later having his first marriage to Stuart Eaglespeed on the top of the roof of 211 East 11th Street.
You can't get more political than that. Come on. Yeah, it's right on the other corner.
Yes.
But you can't get more political than that. Nobody was doing that.
Nobody was doing that. And he was supposed to be married to Eric Emerson.
Now, who was Eric Emerson?
Eric Emerson was another part of the Warhol group, I'd say. He was a very colorful character, a very cute young man. Who had a lot of relationships and a lot of children. But, Curtis just found everybody and invited everybody to be in his shows, even if they didn't have any talent. It did not matter. Right.
Again, it was community.
Right.
Curtis saw everything as through community, which is incredible.
That's correct. He was community minded. Augusto Machado, who
we know. We all know Augusto Machado. He's like, hi, Augusto.
who speaks in the full-length documentary, Superstar in a Housedress, The Life and Legend of Jackie Curtis, which comes with the book, by the way, which you can get online.
I love this, and I'm going to push it into the camera so people can see it.
and it's called Superstar in a Housedress, which was produced by Craig Heiberger,
Who did the film as well.
who did the film as well.
Got
And
it.
I was the associate producer on it, and Craig's husband was the executive producer. And we got wonderful interviews on there. Harvey Fierstein, so many different people. And one of the stories that comes out of producing this documentary, I tried to get, I'm sure you both remember the talk show host who was on forever.
Joe Franklin?
Joe Franklin.
I was on the show.
Thank you. You know, it's
Joe, I was like, my God, he just passed what, 2 years ago or
Yeah,
a year
2
ago?
years ago.
Exactly.
2 years ago,
Was it? Yeah.
he was on Channel 9 all the
I
time.
love Joe
Yeah.
Frank. He was a
And-
real gentleman too.
Mhm.
Yeah, and sorry for the senility of not remembering. They
No, that's
say-
why I'm here to fill in the.
Yes, thank you.
I'll finish your
ask a
sentences
name.
for you too.
Exactly.
You
Ask a
can
name,
ask my
she's got it.
husband.
Exactly. But you know, they
I don't
say,
let people talk.
you know what
That's
they say,
exhibit.
senility is the closest relative. So I mean, you know, yeah. So you know, I tried getting Joe Franklin on the phone because I had his number in Curtis's address and phone book.
Mhm.
So there was no answering machine.
No, of course
Mhm.
And
not.
I kept calling and calling and calling for months. And it was a no-go. I just said, I gave up because, you know, we were moving on with the project.
Right.
So one day I'm walking down 7th Avenue and it was a Saturday afternoon. And I said, oh, there's a toy auction going on, and a vintage toy auction going
Mhm.
on 25th Street at the Metropolitan. Let me just go see what's going on. Maybe I can buy something. I was an antique dealer at the time, antique and collectibles. So the whole place was empty. There was about a half a dozen people. There were 300 seats, right? But just by at that
Six
time,
people, 300 seats.
300 seats.
Wow.
But at that time, everything was going computerized. So
Right.
everybody was bidding either by phone or on the computer or whatever. And I sat in the back, sort of in the middle. And I'm waiting there for the auction to start. And I hear this rumbling of men coming in. And who's in the front of this line of like 8 men? Joe Franklin.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, of course. I'm not even
Um,
surprised because you know what? Knowing what I know about you and knowing the vibe I get from you, of course.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Well,
Thank
of
you,
course.
love.
That,
Thank
that's
you, love.
exactly how it would be.
Well, it gets even
Yeah.
stranger because Joe
course.
Franklin sees me and he picks the aisle that I'm sitting in and plops himself right next to me on my left. And he says, hello. And I said, hello. And I'm just like dumbfounded. I'm sitting there going, do you know how long it's been taking me to call you on the phone? And he said, oh, I'm sorry. You know, I'm very busy. I said, well, you know, we're doing a documentary on Jackie Curtis. And he said, Jackie Curtis. He said, one of my favorite all-time.
You
interviews."
did the
Wow.
exact cadence
Wow.
that Joe Franklin would have
Yes.
said it in.
Mhm.
Exactly
Yes.
like that.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. And he said, absolutely. And he pulled out a card and gave me his card.
Right.
And Craig got in touch with him, did the interview, and you know, the rest
Yeah.
is history for that interview.
Right.
Incredible.
But we're talking about meant to be.
Yes.
Yeah, and this
Yeah.
is a good point.
Yes.
Tim and I talk about these things all the time on the show. You can try, you can try, you can try. Sometimes you just got to let go.
You
Right.
You
know,
just got to let go.
and it's so serendipitous that we're doing this
course.
interview
Mhm.
right here at this intersection.
Right.
Because Curtis,
All of this happened right around
Yes.
us.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
around us.
absolutely. And I say serendipity in a like real strong sense.
Yeah.
Curtis got a large loft apartment above the theater across the street
Mhm.
at
Wow.
189 Second Avenue.
Mhm.
Through my grandmother, who happened to be managing the theater,
Through
because
Slugger
Ann. Slugger Ann. Thank you for pulling
We'll
these.
never forget that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
love her.
I know, sweethearts here, you both of them. They're just
Slugger
holding me
Ann.
together over
Right.
here,
No,
guys.
We're good. We're all good. We got the glue. We're good.
Yes.
Gaffer tape. We're
You know,
fine.
I can't do this scene. I'm too happy. Yeah, and I promise never to desert you again.
Never.
Because after this book, we'll do another one and another one and another
Absolutely,
one.
Because you know what? You got to keep the legacy out
Yeah.
there.
Mhm.
Well,
Keep it alive.
he got a large studio up there, and he lived up there.
He moved out of Slugger Ann's
yes.
into this loft
Finally,
Correct.
yeah.
across the street upstairs.
But once he couldn't manage the rent on the apartment,
Right.
he moved to 301 East 12th Street,
Okay.
which happens to border a wall to the back of the bar, which was about a 200 square foot studio.
Wow.
And I would go to visit once in a while because there was you couldn't get out of your own way in a small apartment like that. I mean, Curtis would be there lying on the bed talking to me, and if there was one chair there, it was filled with books and records and a record player and all of this kind of thing. If I turned around, I would hit my head on the wall. That's how small this apartment was. It had a bathroom, it had a little kitchenette, but it was tiny. Very, very tiny.
I've been in those New York
right.
apartments.
Yes, mine had a tub in the kitchen.
Exactly.
So you were at this point, what, like 8, 9 years old, 10 years old?
At the point of
visiting Curtis.
I would say I was in my middle teens at
You're
this
already
point.
and Medi.
Yeah.
When did
So
you,
after school, you might pop over and hang out and talk.
Exactly.
Before going to the bar to do your
Curtis
homework.
had such a profound
yes.
effect on who you are, your development, who Joe Preston is. How did that start? What were your first memories of that? I want to hear some of those first memories.
It was in the middle of the night. I was 8 years old.
8.
And I'd say that was 1967 at this point. And I was sleeping, my mother was sleeping, and the doorbell rings. I mean, the rings from downstairs outside. Well,
those loud ones. Yeah.
We live in a tenement, an old dumbbell tenement, and the window goes flying up, and
the mother's head pops out.
The mother's head pops out. Who is it?
Who's that?
It's me, Curtis. So she runs to. We had a railroad apartment.
Of course.
She runs from the living room to the kitchen.
And the floor is slanted.
Oh, everything. Yeah,
slanted.
You can't play marbles in that apartment. Yeah,
exactly. And they come. It was Curtis. It was Holly, and it was Candy.
Okay, this is unbelievable. Let's all get the visual of this.
And I'm in the second room from the kids, so they have to walk through my room because it's a railroad apartment, what they call a railroad, to get to the living room. And I look up, and they 6.5 foot tall. Curtis was 6.5 foot tall in heels, but all I see is all of this glitter and feather boas and glamour and craziness. And I looked, I said, who are these people? Just like, I said, who are these people? And I'm looking, and they went into the living room to talk. But as Curtis passed, he did not acknowledge me. Holly passed, did not acknowledge me. And I'm staring, the dog is lying in my bed
Little
also
Joe,
and barking like hell. You
They
can imagine this
They
scene.
sashay through.
But Candy looked down to me and gave me the sweetest smile I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, what a beautiful memory.
And Candy was gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Candy was absolutely flawless.
Agree.
And I went back to sleep. I didn't even see them leave. But they made some noise coming in with those, with those shoes
heels,
on the linoleum and wood floors. And that was my first visual of Curtis in drag.
Wow.
But I didn't really start.
Did you understand what drag was at that age?
You were going to say, right?
Okay.
Yeah, good. No, I did not. Because the next day I asked my mother, I said, why was Curtis dressed up like that? And I barely recognized him.
Oh, okay. But you did recognize that it was Curtis.
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, because he said it was Curtis when he yelled outside.
Okay.
And so my mother said, he's in the theater. And that's all I needed to know. Because my mother kept me at arm's distance because of all of the drugs that were not only swirling in the city, around us, but it was a heavy drug culture.
Well, your mama was protecting you.
Yes, exactly.
So one question I have.
Yes.
So the drag happened first with Holly and Candy,
yes,
like his relationship and friendship with them.
Yes.
And then it was kind of developed even more with their relationship when he got invited into the factory of Andy Warhol.
Yes,
I
exactly.
see. Okay.
Yeah.
But do we know, if Curtis was gay at that time? And I'm going back to that question that you asked earlier. Curtis was a big fan of Carol Burnett.
I love hearing this.
Right? Now, Carol Burnett
got it.
did her first show across the street in the theater called Once Upon a Mattress.
Oh, yeah.
It was across the street before it went uptown in 1959.
Oh
Right?
my God.
Curtis was 12 years old, and the bar was across the street. And my grandmother managed the theater, so it
Oh
was,
my
you know,
goodness.
so all of the, you know, the world conspires,
Right.
Yes.
you know,
yes.
to put all of these people together.
to bring the energies together that are
Yes.
needed to feed each other.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Now you tell me a 12-year-old who isn't gay. That's part of Carol Burnett's fan club
Right,
at
of
12
course.
years old.
exactly.
Yeah,
All
goes
right.
to the turf.
Yes,
Right,
exactly. So yes, yes, Lady Gaga, we were born that way.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you.
You know.
Firstly, you're listening to, or you're watching If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart and Tim Moss,
And our guest.
and our wonderful and amazing guest of wonderful Joey Preston. Yay. Now, we've got some photos that we want to take a look at, and we want you to tell us what's
Yeah.
going on
Take us through
with
the photos.
Jackie.
Absolutely.
I mean, just the life of Jackie Curtis is fascinating, and her association with Andy Warhol in the factory. So yeah, go ahead and show the and then you tell it.
Yeah,
Oh
you
my
can tell us what's
gosh.
going on in the photos.
How fabulous.
Curtis was at home and he calls me up and he says, I'm going to do a photo shoot. Come with me, bring some clothes.
Oh my goodness.
You know, so I threw together an outfit.
That
I threw
is you
together that
there.
outfit.
Isn't that incredible?
And I found those pants sitting on the top of a garbage can,
Oh my
Perfect.
God. I love it.
and they fit me like a tee.
Because it was meant to be.
Yeah.
They were meant to be, and they were pressed and clean and everything.
Yeah, for your
And I
shoes.
Yes.
and I had the shirt, I had the hat, I had the shoes. So I put
That
that
is
outfit together
iconic.
with like 10
Yeah.
seconds.
And I would know it was
And-
you from the body language. You had the exact
Yeah.
same body. It is. I've
Yeah.
seen you
Oh.
in that position.
Well, oh my God.
Yeah.
Really? How many other positions
Yeah,
have you
it's
seen
like-
me in?
But I know
I
that
mean,
that
you know,
is part of
really.
your body language. The
Yeah.
way your head is tilted,
Yeah.
the way one leg is slightly
Uh-huh.
more forward than I observe these kind of stuff with people. Okay, I'm a weird girl. Okay.
Okay. What do we
Oh,
got
what do we
here?
have here?
Curtis did a whole month show, 4 semi-weeks from Thursday to Sunday in our grandmother's bar. So he did a cabaret show with Louis Friedman, who owns Snafu, the Snafu Club, on the piano. And Curtis wrote an entire show, and we sold out every show
Wow.
during the month of November, like late October into November.
And I
Mhm.
wanted this is a perfect time to point out Curtis had no training whatsoever.
Yeah. Right.
You know what? No.
No training.
this
and,
was-
and writing
yeah,
plays, doing
no.
shows. I mean,
Yes.
it's unbelievable.
Exactly. He had a very good singing voice. You know, when he
Yeah, but
was.
no this
you know,
is the point. This
this-
is raw talent.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
then again, so did my mother, who was a mezzo soprano.
So
To
it came
say-
through the genes.
So it came
of
through the
females
genes.
in the
Yes,
family. Got it.
absolutely. And you know, there was more theatrical things in the family. Our Uncle Jack, who Curtis wound up living with on 14th Street. They
The
became
Uncle
roommates.
Jack, who was Uncle Jackie.
Yes, correct.
Right.
Okay.
Oh my God,
oh
Tim
my
did the
God.
math. No, Tim's
Thank
really
God
good
he's
at that
here.
kind
Yes,
of thing.
yeah.
You just
Thank
linked
God you're
linked
here.
it
Which
to
that's
him.
why they called her Curtis.
Well,
was
right,
because
yeah.
not to confuse with
With
Uncle Jackie.
Uncle Jack.
Uncle Jackie. Yeah.
When our Uncle Jackie was 6 years old, he was cast as Weezer in Our Gang comedy.
No,
Oh,
no.
my
Okay, wait.
God.
Okay, you just like blew me out of the
Right?
water. I used to watch her. Those were my favorite
Right.
shows growing up.
Exactly.
Weezer. He
Yeah.
was Weezer.
He was not Weezer. He was cast as
As
Weezer. A week before they were ready to go out to California, because my grandmother said to everybody in the family, I think we're going to have to move to California.
You're going to have to uproot the entire neighborhood and move to
And
Yeah,
move to
California.
California.
A lot of
You know,
vacancies in this neighborhood with that family.
It's like W.C. Fields packing the car
Yeah,
out
right.
Yeah, right.
in the movie It's a Gift,
Right.
and everybody getting in. So a week before they were scheduled to go out, right?
Mhm.
Uncle Jackie gets pneumonia, right? And they had to go through with the
The show
production.
must go on.
And Jackie Coogan
Oh my!
Of course, Jackie
oh,
Coogan. We
Yes,
all know who
Jackie
Jackie-
Coogan
got-
got the role.
got the role, and that was the end of that.
Wow.
But fast forward into 1964, 1965, Joey Preston was also cast
Are you kidding me?
in the revival
I
of The
remember.
Little Rascals.
Oh my!
I never knew that about you. That's
Right?
you.
Yeah, that
I want your
Rock
autograph.
roll.
Sign anything for me.
But the instance here was that they shelved the production,
Okay.
and I was cast as Spanky.
Oh wow!
You
Oh
played
my
Spanky.
goodness!
Wow.
Because
I
we
love
we
it.
actually had the same features. I also had the same features as Shirley Temple, because my
Uh-huh.
you know, my mother used to, when I was young, I looked like Shirley Temple if you put our pictures together.
Uh-huh.
And my mother used to put a wig on top of my head and say, look, he looks like Shirley Temple.
Okay, I
Oh,
totally
wow.
I love your family. I
And
love
I
your
do
mother.
too,
This
you know.
is like,
And I love Slugger
and I
Ann,
would love
Uncle
Slugger Ann.
Jackie, everybody.
Look, it's Slugger
Is
Ann.
that Slugger
Wow.
Now this is Slugger Ann in her heyday as
Oh.
as a taxi
She
dancer.
said she was a taxi girl.
As a
Oh my
taxi
God,
dancer.
I love it.
And you could just imagine
Yeah,
why
showgirl quality.
there was wandering hands. You know
Oh
what I
yes,
mean?
of
Gorgeous.
course.
I mean,
but
those,
what a strong woman! You
Yeah.
can
She
just
was
see
very-
it in
very
And
her.
it's that
strong.
whole pinup position, right?
yes,
It's
Yeah.
like-
yes,
Like
They-
this is me.
yes,
Yeah.
Take it or leave it. Just
Yeah.
don't touch me in the wrong
Boy, you
spot,
have some
or I
very-
will slug you.
right, exactly.
fierce personalities in your family.
Yeah,
Fierce.
very
Yeah.
strong,
Yeah.
dominant. Yeah.
Yeah. Now this is a joke from me. I mean, they used her breast as the model for the middle '50s Cadillac bumper. You
Oh
know
my
what I mean?
God.
Where they had the bullet bumpers, which
Uh-huh.
they call the tit bumpers.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh
just look at
my
that.
God.
I mean, they just could have put her in front, and she wound up buying a Cadillac when she opened the bar.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
love
and-
it.
But
Slugger Ann knew how to treat
yeah.
herself well.
Yeah.
and my mother also dressed similar to that,
Mhm.
and Curtis's mother did as well. Curtis's mother did the coat check
Mhm.
also, where she met.
Oh.
This is Curtis's mother, Jean.
Wow.
How gorgeous.
Look at these women.
You see, and you can see Curtis's features in her.
Uh-huh.
She
What a beautiful photo.
she was working the coat check when she met Curtis's father.
Okay.
Interesting.
You see, so they had a liaison, and he went back to fight in the war.
Wow.
Into the army or whatever it was, and they got married
Mhm.
because now Curtis was born here in the city,
Okay.
but an outbreak happened here in the city.
Hmm.
The outbreak of polio.
It wasn't polio.
My
It
uncle
was
Charlie had.
It was in 1947 in March, and
Hmm.
I'll think of it.
Yeah, it's cool.
Senility is the
Smallpox or
closest.
something, or-
Smallpox. It was
Okay.
We had.
smallpox.
We still have that
And
stuff.
and by the way, this is off topic. This is my mother.
Yeah.
By the way, it's off topic.
Oh my goodness.
You know, This is one of her studio shots that
Gorgeous.
my grandmother sent her on to do.
The hair on these
The
women
women-
in your family are
It's
like
just bizarre.
beauties.
Yeah, it's lovely.
These are all like classic beauty. I
Oh.
love this picture.
Yeah, now this is the quintessential Curtis that everybody knows, photographed by Jack Mitchell. And Jack
Yeah.
Mitchell and Curtis had a wonderful relationship.
Mhm.
Jack did, there's so many Jacks in this story.
Yeah,
I know.
right?
It's a
Right?
story of Jack.
Yeah, I'm sorry
It's
if the viewers are being confused, but Jack
Many
Mitchell
Jacks.
was a major photographer of the
love
opera, and he photographed. You can look up his work on jackmitchell.com, and
It's an
coincidentally,
incredible photograph.
Craig owns
Mhm.
all of
Everything.
the archives of Jack Mitchell,
Wow.
and we
So
used
it's
it
on
for the
everything.
front of the book and
Yeah.
everything.
Joe, I know
But
you're
now-
familiar with Laura Rubin. She has photographed
Yes, fabulous.
fabulous. A shout out to
Fabulous.
Laura Rubin,
Yes.
and you can order her pictures online.
Yes,
She photographed
correct.
all the Warhol
Lovely.
people. I have one of her prints.
Yes. Oh,
But-
right. You
Of
told
Candy
me.
Darling.
Yes, I
But
saw it.
the pictures that we've seen of your grandmother, of your
Yeah.
mother, of your aunt, and then of Jackie there are all of very strong,
These women are
independent
yeah.
women.
These
Yes.
That's where Jackie
Yeah.
got it from, was
Yes.
from these feminine influences that were very
Right.
strong and independent on their own.
Right.
Just like Jackie, to do what Jackie did, to
Correct.
had to be
Yes.
strong.
Yes,
feminine
absolutely,
influences,
yes.
but very masculine in
Yes,
terms of
yes,
strength.
yes.
And if you
These are
can identify
amazing
with
and
those
fascinating.
feelings.
Well, when you were growing up in the 30s and 40s in
Right.
this neighborhood, you better
You were
have
tough.
been
Yeah, you
Yeah.
had to be.
You
Yeah.
were street tough.
Yeah.
you had to be street tough.
Because
And who do we
this
have
is by
here?
Gretchen Berg. Curtis met Gretchen Berg and said, listen, My name's Jackie Curtis. I need photographs. You
Mhm.
have
Love
to
it.
take photographs of me. This might have been transposed. I got
And
it
this
transposed
is
or something.
um
It might
Curtis.
be flopped the other way.
Uh-huh.
But this is
So good.
Curtis around 1966 or
Wow.
so, with the beetle cut and all of
Yeah.
that.
And a
kind of
pea
thing.
coat.
And a
He's
pea
got
coat.
on a
Yes,
pea. That's what I
you
was
know.
looking to see. Wow.
Yeah, and,
I
and
love
Gretchen
these.
was a fabulous photographer, and she did an entire set of photographs with Curtis because he was a very strong subject, as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I looked at over the years as I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And emulate. I was emulating and so proud of Curtis's work.
Yeah.
And when I became closer to Curtis at the age of about 17,
Mm-hmm.
was when I started actually hanging out with him. So
Mm-hmm.
now
Carol
this
Burnett.
is Carol Burnett.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Curtis,
Oh
right,
my
How
right
adorable.
across the street.
I can't believe we're seeing
taking
this.
a picture.
Right across the street.
Amazing.
In
Yeah, it is Tim, right?
1959, when she started Once Upon a Mattress, and Curtis was in her fan club, and like I said, all the pieces got put together.
Yeah, right.
And look at the brightness in his eyes.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And when I met Carol in later years, after Curtis had died, she just remembered Curtis so fondly.
Oh, how
and
sweet.
adorably. She said, "I absolutely loved Curtis."
I mean, this picture is
Jackie, she said.
everything.
She
You know,
used the
but
word
look,
Jackie.
look,
Uh-huh.
Jackie.
what. Thank you for sharing this.
Yes,
today. I mean,
you
this
are
is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I'm sort of very happy that these even exist because that's a whole nother story.
Well, it's
Oh,
a whole
and
other
to-
story as to why all of this exists because of
Yeah.
you, and that's the
Well,
whole
yeah.
other.
But pulling it all together,
I
oh
know,
my goodness,
right?
it's not an
Yeah.
easy task.
Yeah, and they remained pen pals for years after that. So I'm very proud of this picture.
As you should be.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
And it's just, this is where now, does that not look like a young gay boy to you?
Yes, right.
You know what I mean?
He gay, I can tell.
He's gay, right?
He gay.
Now, this is one of the
Oh man.
this
That's
is
a
one of the
glasses.
many hundreds of photographs that Jackie Curtis has with
Andy.
with
Andy
Warhol.
Warhol.
with Andy Warhol. Now, Andy was very zen. And
Uh-huh.
Andy was probably too zen for even Andy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because he relied on everybody that was in his orbit
Mm-hmm.
to be the creators.
That was the deal.
That was the
right.
deal.
They created, and he, I'm not going to say it, but it's a known fact, and I know you know it.
Right. And Curtis had the name Andy tattooed on his left
Wow.
arm. But they fed off of each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there was so many stories. Curtis didn't get paid for doing Women in Revolt,
Yeah.
or they got paid with drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was going to say the drugs was
it.
just endless.
It was the barter system.
It was
That's
the
what
barter.
it was, the barter.
But the
Sure.
thing is that a
Right.
lot of times the drugs can
Yeah.
enhance the creativity too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Exactly.
I mean, it can do both. It can either damper it or
Right.
or enhance it.
I think he
This
got
is fabulous.
$162 out of this from a story that I had heard. But Curtis had many different looks. He was a chameleon.
Uh-huh.
So it
I love
depended
it.
how he woke up
Of
that day
course.
and what he was
Well, he
feeling.
was an artist.
Yes.
Yeah.
True artist.
Exactly. I mean, he would go out unshaven with a wig and, parade up and down 2nd Avenue going to Lamar.
Just looking out the door there,
Right,
just envision
just
it.
imagine him walking by.
Yes.
Yeah.
Session.
And, coming from dress rehearsal one night, and
Yes,
He-
this was from Glitter or
Glamour,
Glory, and
Glory and
Gold.
Gold.
yes, and he was walking along this block, and somewhere in one of these doorways
Wow.
was a character with a switchblade, and Curtis walks by in full drag at early hours of the morning,
in the
about 3:00 in the
60s or
morning,
70s.
in 1974.
Yeah.
That
It was a
took
brutal.
guts.
It was a brutal
That-
neighborhood then.
But it
too.
Yeah.
took balls,
And
balls of steel
Right.
to
Balls
walk
of
in
steel.
public
Right.
in drag.
Right.
Curtis had them. Curtis
Uh-huh.
had them. I got to
Yeah.
tell you, Curtis had them. And the guy sensed that Curtis was not a real woman. So
Mhm.
he started catcalling
victimizing
Curtis.
them.
And Curtis took off and bolted toward our grandmother's bar to get in there for
Of
safety.
course.
Mhm.
But the guy started running after Curtis, and he caught up with Curtis, and plunged a
And-
knife into his back.
Oh my God.
So Curtis,
scary.
so Curtis wrapped himself in cloth, went the whole day and did the opening of Glamour, Glory, and Gold in
With a
1974
stab wound?
with a stab
Oh my
wound,
God.
and he lost a kidney because of it.
Oh my God. And then it
And
curtain
then
call.
and then a curtain call, he collapsed, and everybody thought it was part of the show.
Oh
and
my
they were
God.
all clapping, yay! This is fabulous, great,
Wow.
And they called
And
an
he
ambulance.
was losing a kidney at the time.
Right.
Yes,
My
his
goodness.
kidney
Right.
was punctured.
Pardon what I'm going to say, but that is really sacrificing for your art.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I don't think I could.
Absolutely.
The fact that he had to be in pain
Yes,
and knew it was
Yes.
serious,
Yeah.
and yet the show
But
had
was
to go on.
was not going to miss that opening
wasn't
night.
gonna miss
was
the opening
not going to
night.
miss opening night.
and if you saw the
Wow.
intensity
Impressive.
of Curtis's acting in Glamour, Glory, and Gold, and everybody's intensity of
I've
that
seen
show,
the clips. It's
you would wonder how
Yeah.
he did that.
Mhm.
With a
Yeah,
stab
yeah.
wound that wasn't
Wow.
treated.
Jeez.
But there was no way he was going to miss, opening night regardless.
Absolutely.
But they did shows for nothing back then.
yeah.
Zero. I mean, they did shows.
yeah, but you're talking
for
about
nothing.
such an incredibly creative time.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this one.
This was also with, on the left is Patti Smith.
Wow.
Jackie's in the middle, and Penny Arcade is on the right.
Penny
Oh, my
Arcadis and this
God.
Penny.
Look
Oh,
how
this is
fabulous
great.
They all look, and
Great.
Penny still looks the same.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I sat right here
you know.
talking to Penny at PANGEA's 35th anniversary
Yeah.
party. That was
I
what,
did
2
too.
weeks ago. I attended
the other
to.
day.
Penny's amazing, and her
Yes.
body of work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
tremendous.
so want to
Yes.
have her on the show. Her body of work is above and beyond.
Tremendous.
We need to get all that out there.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
Incredible.
Because see, the thing
Yes.
is this was real.
Yeah.
It was real.
This
Tim,
was
right.
real
Right.
from
These
the
were
soul.
true artists.
Exactly.
It wasn't
That,
about
that rose above
right.
the fear, that rose above the anger, that rose above the streets, that
Yes.
rose above
Right.
all of this to bring this true, authentic
Yes.
self.
Because it was
out.
their essence.
Absolutely.
It wasn't about
Absolutely.
marketing.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
It wasn't
Right.
about branding.
No,
Right. It wasn't
right.
about ticket sales.
Thank you.
Right.
It
Thank
was
you.
about
The
Right.
art.
creating.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
about
The art of creation. I totally get
Absolutely.
it.
It was about the art of making art.
Right.
Wow.
Um,
Oh, I
and
love
Patti
this.
looks just quintessential
Yeah.
and so beautiful there. I just love this shot, and I had to
That is
share
amazing.
Wow.
Thank
today.
you.
I mean, even
love
down
it.
to the tile floor.
Uh-huh.
Look
I
at
mean,
the big tiles. Wow.
And who set this up? I have no idea.
Yeah.
She's got her leg on a chair, and Curtis is crossing his
I
just
would
even
guess-
the
I
way their
know.
pose.
I would
Yeah.
guess somebody just said, "Here, let me get a picture of you
Yeah.
guys," and
And
they
they
all just did it. Just
because that's
whatever they were
right,
feeling,
exactly.
probably.
Right.
That's how I would see it.
Curtis said, "Come with me one day," and we went to the Chelsea Hotel on 23rd Street.
Mhm.
And if you ever walked into the Chelsea Hotel
I
in the
love it.
early 70s,
Oh my God.
it was like walking into a haunted house.
Mm,
I mean, it was dark, it was gloomy.
mhm.
They had light bulbs every 12 feet or 15
And you
feet.
could feel
Yeah.
people were just shooting up all
And it
over.
was-
That
yeah,
was
and
a
you would
shooting
just like,
gallery.
oh,
you know,
my- your
Skin
skin was
would
crawling.
Yeah,
crawl.
you start
and-
scratching.
And
Right.
he knocks on the door and opens it. And I didn't know really at the time who Patti Smith was.
Mhm.
But I realized afterwards because he was doing this show with her, and I was very young, and she was young in her career also.
Yeah.
So she's sitting there and looking up, and I'm looking down at her, and it was a surreal moment.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And she's just a lovely human being. She wrote about Curtis so lovingly in Just Kids.
Yeah, she
Uh-huh.
In her book.
absolutely did.
And because Curtis gave her a heads up about.
Mhm.
I
Sam
love
Shepard.
that you
That's hot.
included this in your slides. This is
Recently,
important. Yeah.
this year, from March to about August, this is one of the portraits of Curtis
Mhm.
that the famous painter Alice Neal did. Because Andy wasn't doing portraits of the drag queens
Right.
at all.
Oh wow.
Andy didn't do them because an Italian gallerist, when Andy went to Italy, said, "Don't do the drag queens. They don't mean anything. They're not important.
And then
Blah,
we
blah,
said-
blah,
Oh,
this
my
and that.
goodness.
You're not going to make any money off of them." Now, this painting, you're not going to make any money off them. That's the key.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
Right?
Alice Neal.
How
and
much
it's-
is this one worth?
This one sold at auction in 2009 for 1.4 million.
Yes.
Plus buyer's premium, which brought it up to 1.7 million.
Wow.
Wow.
Bought by the Cleveland Museum of Art
I
for
love
their
it.
gay couples
I love it.
Wow.
Good.
segment. And now it tours the world with Alice Neal's exhibits. You know, when I went to see it, I hung out, and the crowds around this painting were just surreal. And I was listening to all the remarks about.
And no one knew who you were, right? You were
I didn't
like
say-
quiet as
I
a mouse.
love it.
I love
Yeah.
it.
I didn't say a thing. You know, I asked somebody to take my picture with the
Of course.
painting. You know
I
what
love
I mean?
it.
Yeah.
What were some of the remarks you heard people making?
Oh, look at the rip stocking. Look at the toe sticking out at the
Yeah.
bottom. We can't see it here. But they, you know, I love the pattern of the blouse and how Curtis is in front of Rita Red.
Right.
You know, Rita Red was just the cutest little boy you can ever imagine. You know, and they were very, very good friends. That, you know, there's even a YouTube a video of them together.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yes,
Wow.
and because there's a song called Jackie Is My Girl.
Ah!
You know, but they showed how forceful Curtis looks in this painting, because he's got the leg in front pushing Rita Red off to the side, and in front like this, you know, and just, I'm prominent, I'm in the front, you know, this is about me kind of thing, and very, very serious. So, you know, Curtis knew everybody.
Who's
Now,
another?
this is the other Alice Neal,
Yeah.
done in 19...
Isn't she amazing?
Yeah, absolutely amazing. This one was done in 1972. The other one was done in 1970. And this is called Jackie as a Boy.
Wow.
This
And there's
one,
that expression.
yes,
That,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yes.
she captured it
exactly, perfectly. And this sold at auction at Christie's a couple years later for $600,000.
Wow.
Wow.
So,
Good.
you know, Alice needed to make a living at the time, and she was connected with the Robert Miller Gallery. And that's where they wound up to sell on Madison Avenue. So it's like, you know, Curtis did not have these in his possession. You know what I mean? So, or else I would have had them hanging on my
course.
wall.
Yeah,
You-
right.
You know what I
right.
mean?
Quite,
So-
they're quite incredible. And her whole style and way
amazing
she saw, it's almost like if you study early Americana
Yes.
with the long limbs,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
she put it almost like a caricature
Right.
of who the person
Right.
was.
Uh-huh.
Nobody has that style.
Right.
They're
exactly.
very special. Oh my God, there we are.
Hi.
Hi,
What
everybody.
an
Hi.
amazing
Amazing. Thank
series,
you. Yeah.
series of photographs there.
Right.
That what history, just
Thank you.
incredible.
To
Thank you.
Thank you
share-
for putting that together.
to share
You are
with us.
watching If These Walls Could Talk with your host, Wendy Stuart and Tim Moss, and our wonderful guest, the
Jo-
incredible
Jo
Joey Preston,
Preston.
who is soon to be author.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now you wrote Jackie Curtis Undressed, 19 Cans of Tuna,
I love the title.
a memoir by Joey Preston.
Here we
But
go.
now this is not published. Is that correct?
That's correct. This is not
Yeah.
published. I finished it at the end of last year
Nice.
out of all of those things that were going on. But I put it on the back burner just to give it thought.
Right.
And I said to
Smart.
myself, I
That's
said,
smart.
Mhm.
should I try to get a publisher who will pay for the publishing and do the marketing and all of that and the distribution? Should I self-publish myself, or should I do a live book and put it on YouTube? Because, you know, when you print these books, people have to pay for them.
Right.
And they, you know, maybe they don't have the budget for it. You know what I mean? And somebody who publishes the book is going to take the first 2,000 copies, you know,
Yeah.
to recoup their expenses.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you know, right now I'm balancing.
Well, that's
all
a,
the
that's a
decisions.
lot. That's
I
a lot
would-
to weigh.
Right. And you will continue to think about it. My
Right.
personal,
Yes. Yeah.
I would love to see it in a tangible, which would be the book. And then I would like to see it presented
thank
on
you.
YouTube as well.
I think that would be
because
very
those
cool
are two
in that
very
order.
different components. And people, you know what? Look, I'm reaching out to touch it. I think people
I just want to touch
Right.
it too.
No,
It's-
right.
Yeah.
You want it's special. You want to touch it, and if it exists as the book, you can give it as gifts to people. I mean, Joe, really, there's been so much told about Warhol. Everyone had an opinion. You are still here to tell the story.
Well,
My God, that's
you
so
witnessed
special.
firsthand
Thank you.
You know,
this person who was
really-
next to
right.
Warhol.
Yeah,
Right.
if
That's a very
anybody's
special.
listening and you guys, if you're ever thinking about life and how difficult life is, you get up in the morning and you get these thoughts
Right.
and they go through your mind. And let me just say to everybody out there is always a future.
Right.
Mhm.
Do not change your destiny. Keep
Right.
going.
Yeah.
Keep going is the
Yes.
trick.
Yes.
I mean, it might not always look rosy.
right.
You know what I
Oh,
mean?
excuse me. Sometimes it's an absolute shitstorm.
Right.
But guess what?
Yes.
No, but we talk
But-
about that. You
Yeah.
have to work
You-
your way through
You
it.
have to work
Exactly.
your way through it.
And
Now-
try to remember your original passion of
Thank
your
you.
destiny.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those are the times that you have to go back to that
Yep.
original
Yep.
feeling.
Now I have two invited guests in the book who I invited to speak.
Mhm.
One who is the jazz musician, the international jazz musician, Paul Serrato.
Oh, of course.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. And Edward B. Snyder, who is an actor and has known Curtis since 1980 and
Mm.
also lived with Curtis
Love
for
it.
3 years
Wow,
on 14th
yeah.
Street
Yeah.
with Uncle Jackie in the other room.
And these
Again,
people are still
and-
alive. How
and
lucky
Slugger
we
Ann
are
across
to
the
get
street.
that.
And well, yes,
We love
absolutely.
Slugger Ann.
Now
I
this is
just love
one
it.
of Paul's albums,
Mhm.
right? Called Excursions,
Mhm.
and his music can be found on CD Baby,
Mhm.
or look up Paul Serrato. I
And can
actually
you spell it for people too if they want to Google it?
Serrato, Paul Serrato.
Serrato. And you can order
And-
this.
This is one of my favorite covers because he asked me to design it, and I designed
Oh
the
my God.
cover.
Cool.
Yeah, he said, Joe, my covers are so bizarre, and so I'm getting feedback that they're so busy.
Mhm.
I need something very simple and
That
succinct.
makes a statement
And
right there.
I said, I've got it already in my head, and I did it for him. And this is a fabulous album, by the way.
Uh-huh.
And he is such a good musician, and he's an intellect as well. He
Mhm.
teaches music as well.
Wow.
And he's in also Superstar in a Housedress because
Uh-huh.
he and Curtis were very close friends.
But how
Right.
incredible from this is current and from this time to this time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this is the album that they did together called
Oh, wow.
Who Are You, with 4 songs of
Uh-huh.
Jackie singing, and Jackie's in
What a
perfect
talent.
pitch. And Paul wrote the music along with Jackie, and Jackie sang it, and they Paul is on the piano,
Mhm.
and this is another favorite of mine
Excellent.
also. So
Now, how can people find out more about you, about your book, about Jackie?
well, my book isn't publicized yet
Right.
outside
Oh,
of
it's
being
But I
on
mean, for
this.
people to follow, to
Yes.
see
Where can-
when,
yeah.
where,
For
when
Jackie,
and where.
For Jackie Curtis, you can go to jackiecurtis.com.
Okay.
It's all one word, Jackie Curtis. Go to
Mhm.
jackiecurtis.com. And Craig Heiberger has hosted this website for many, many years. And you can read about Curtis's plays, poetry, because Curtis was
It's
an
all-
avid
it's
poet.
All on there, a poet, of course. And
Yes.
Craig also wrote the book.
Well,
Oh, over here.
he wrote, I did the forward.
Yeah, you hook it up
Craig
to-
put the book together.
Okay.
And you can get the entire
Right.
documentary along with the book. When
Mhm.
you buy the book, make sure the documentary comes with it
Mhm.
because maybe sometimes it's gone, but it's usually in this envelope in the back of the book.
I love it.
Okay.
And this
So-
is available on Amazon for people.
Yes, you can get it on
Great,
Amazon. You
perfect.
can get it through
I love it. That
jackiecurtis.com.
they can do this.
And,
Well, thank you so very much for coming on this
Oh,
show.
my
This has been
pleasure.
incredible.
Oh my
My
God.
pleasure.
Can you give us a memory that you have of Jackie, like something that would encapsulate, like a phrase or a saying or some remark that that might pop out of her mouth that you could
It's
share
all
with
Jackie.
us?
Well, I already did, but I didn't
Yeah.
say I
Right.
didn't. He said that senility is the closest relative.
Yeah.
That was one of
I
them.
love that one.
But Jackie was a prolific writer and a
Right.
poet,
Mhm.
and we had when we were doing the show in the bar up the block. A wonderful fan came up to him and said, "I'd love to have your autograph."
Right.
And I just happened to be walking by, and Curtis, it was a little glass that he had because he didn't write on anything, and said, "Oh, could you sign my glass, his little drinking glass?" So Curtis takes it and puts it up against his lips, and and presses his lips
Yeah.
and, you know, puts the lip print on
That's
it.
fabulous.
And then takes his lipstick out and just writes Jackie
I
really
love
quick.
it. Beautiful.
That's
and-
classic.
And the fan was so excited,
Of course.
and he was
who
so
wouldn't? I'd love to
happy.
have something
Probably
like
still
that.
has
Yeah,
that.
And
with
Curtis,
a lipstick on it.
so the fan went to go for the glass, right? And Curtis pulled it back and said, "That'll be $1."
Oh yeah,
Love it. That's right. And you know what? That's something Slugger Ann would have done too.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because
Learned well.
they
from
don't
Slugger
give it
Ann.
away for free.
Yeah. Oh! You're bringing that up, are you? My mother was a barmaid in the bar, and she would give away drinks to everybody. I mean, Forrest Tucker came in one day.
Oh my God.
And Larry Storch, because they were doing the night they raided Minsky's.
Uh-huh.
They were filming it across the
Right.
street. So they came in, and she's giving,
What
my
legacy?
mother is giving them all free liquor. And my grandmother looks at me and says, "Look at your mother. She's giving away my liquor. How am I supposed to make a living?"
I
She
love
said, "How am
it.
I supposed to pay the rent?" Oh, she was pissed. My grandmother was
I love
pissed.
it.
You know, and my mother, you know, was so generous. But gee, she was generous with my grandmother's stuff. Didn't cost her anything,
Right.
you know. But so you know,
Love
my
it.
grandmother fired her and then hired her back and then fired her again. And
It's
hired
all,
her
you know
back.
what, Joe? It's all in the family.
Oh,
Yeah,
there
you
go.
know,
Right.
and before I forget, and before we go, we have a little commercial today. We're talking
Oh.
about performers
Yes.
and artists, and our
Yes.
very own Francisco is performing at 1 East 29th Street, October 1st and October 2nd. From 7 to 8 is going to be a little piano interlude. The show will start at 8. The show is called
It is called. It's an Italian thing.
Oh,
No,
boy.
no, it's a black thing.
Oh,
It's
wow.
quite a title.
Wow.
So there
Wow.
you go. I have a ticket for it. Tim's going to be covering it.
October 1st and October 2nd.
So there
Wonderful.
you go. You know what? Just like you brought all of these people to light today, we as performers, we all have to support each other. We're
Mhm.
here at PANGEA. We are here to support them. They've supported the arts here. It is all in the family, as we've proved with Joe
This-
Preston, our guest today.
This has
Thank
just
you.
been an amazing
Amazing.
experience. Being here, it's like you've brought them all back to life in this neighborhood
You
at
know-
a different time. You brought
Thank
Uncle
you.
Jackie.
Yeah.
You brought Uncle
Yeah.
Jackie. You brought Slugger Ann, your mom, your aunt,
Yeah.
and of course the incredible Jackie Curtis.
Yes,
Right.
and you know, this is fertile ground for
It
our
is fertile
family.
ground.
Mhm.
And the intersection should be called, you know, Curtis Slugger Way.
Right. I love it.
You know, and 11th Street should be called Pangea Way because
Yeah.
it's been here for 35
I-
years.
We
Yeah.
are
And,
right
you
there
know,
with you with
uh-huh.
that.
And
Absolutely.
thank Pangea for hosting us today. Also,
we
Yes.
we love you,
giving us this
Pangea.
space.
Yes.
And you know, I got to thank Tim and Wendy.
Oh my
And-
God,
and-
please. This
and
is really
Alan
special.
is sitting on the other side of the screen.
Alan Kaplan,
And
yes.
Chauncey.
And
Yes, and
Chauncey,
Chauncey.
just thank all of you from the bottom of my heart
Oh,
and the memory of my family. Thank
Oh.
you.
Mhm.
you're
Oh,
going to
we
make me
love you.
cry.
Mr. Joe Preston.
Thank you,
Joey
everybody.
Preston
You
right here.
can laugh and cry at the same time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.